Hi guys, I'm back after a couple of weeks away, and it's really good to be back in my office, back in the studio here, and making some videos in my comfort zone. And it's Halloween time. Next week the Rebels are going to be doing a pumpkin carving contest, which is so up my alley. I am going to totally wipe the floor with everybody. I'm just putting that out there right now because one of my favorite things to do is to carve pumpkins. So prepare yourselves for a pretty scary jack-o'-lantern.
10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
So because we are in the end of October part of the year, one of my very favorite times of year, I wanted to talk about some of the books that have really scared me over the years, books that I find really great to read in the Halloween season. And this is kind of a follow-up to my vlog last week where I talked about The Secret History. One of my favorite books of all time. I really love this book. I mentioned it last week and I suggested that if anybody else is interested, they should go out and read it. I talked a little bit about what it's about last week, and the reason I was talking about it is because of this bad boy, The Goldfinch, which is Donna Tartt's third novel. And I have been waiting for this book for a long time, ever since I read The Secret History, and I enjoyed it so much that I went out immediately and bought The Little Friend, which was her second book. This came out in 2002, and The Secret History came out in 1992. So The Little Friend is a different story altogether. It's about this girl who was a baby when her brother was murdered in a very small town in Mississippi, and she's now 11 or 12 years old, and she's on the hunt to find out who the killer was because the murder was unsolved. And she gets caught up in all kinds of crazy stuff in her very strange little town, very Southern Gothic. So another really great book that I just absolutely loved. I could not put it down. And so I read both of these books a few years ago, and I've been waiting ever since for Donna Tartt to write something else. And here it is finally, The Goldfinch. I picked up my copy yesterday. It was released yesterday, and it is promising to be a great read. So I will report back to you guys. I can say that it's getting rapturous reviews. Stephen King called it a triumph in the New York Times, so you don't get much better than that. And right across the board, reviews for The Goldfinch have been great. They're calling it just basically a masterpiece. So in the spirit of these books, I wanted to talk about a couple of other writers who I really enjoy and some of their books. Obviously, Stephen King is known as the master of horror, and that's with good reason. I love Stephen King's books. I love that he's so prolific. He's pretty much the exact opposite of Donna Tartt, who writes a book every 10 years. Stephen King writes books like crazy. I don't know how many novels he's published, how many collections of short stories, but it's a lot. And one of my all-time favorites is Salem's Lot, which is one of his earlier books. And Salem's Lot is set in a very small town in New England as a vampire infestation takes over the town. And it is just awesome. It's a book with all kinds of characters, a wide range of characters. You get into all sides of this small town's seedy underbelly, and you learn about a lot of different people's lives in the middle of this crazy vampire plague. And finally, I want to talk about Shirley Jackson, who is the queen of the macabre, you could call her. Back in the 50s and 60s, she wrote some really crazy stuff. The book that I love the most of Shirley Jackson's is called We Have Always Lived in the Castle. This is a trip of a book. It's a short novel, and it's about two sisters who live in a house that is more or less boarded up from the rest of society. They live near a small town in a big old mansion, and they don't really interact with people in the town. They're incredibly paranoid. They live with their old uncle, and you find out through the course of the story that years ago this pair of sisters and their family had a very strange tragedy happen to them. And the story kind of unfolds from there. Really great stuff. The kind of stuff that has you up late at night turning the pages to find out what happens, but really scared to turn the next page at the same time because it's just so creepy and evocative. So those are some of my favorite Halloween-y, October-y, autumn-ish creep-fest books and authors, and I'd be interested to hear some of the things that you guys have read that really scared you. So leave some links in the comments section below, and I will also make sure to leave some Goodreads links to these books and stories. In the meantime, come back next week, check out the pumpkin carving contest. Put your money on me right now, I'm telling you, because I'm intending to take everybody out completely. This is going to be my contest to lose.